Hi there! So today I've got for you a Valentine's special, and I'm going to be talking to you about how architectural design can help improve your relationships, and I've got 5 examples and 5 tips for you for how to do that. So I'm Jane, I'm a chartered architect, I'm the founding director of iArchitect. I am a conservation registrant for the RIBA Conservation Register, and I am a Green Register listed eco refurbisher. I specialise in helping homeowners make the most of your home and make it suit you, suit your modern lifestyle, and help you make your life easier and more enjoyable at home. So like or comment below with the word love if you would like your home improvements to help you make your relationships better, whether that's with a significant other, with your children, with wider friends and family. So the first tip I have for you today is to create bigger and better spaces where you can spend time together with the people that you love, with the people who you want to have that good relationship with. So I had a really lovely client last year who, when I went to visit her, she was really frustrated with her kitchen, and she'd been wanting to do it up for a long time and change it. So she had already bought a designer kitchen and it was waiting in the garage, but she didn't really have the right space for it, and she didn't know how to arrange this kitchen in the space. They had looked at other designs before, but they proved to be too expensive, and so they called me in and asked for my help with their project. So first of all, we started off with a workshop, and during the process of talking with my client, she described to me what it was like when they have friends and family over, and what she was finding was that she would be stuck on her own in the kitchen while everybody else was having a great time in the living room, and she would be going in and out, making them cups of tea and coffee, bringing them biscuits and sandwiches and all the rest of it. She's a wonderful woman, a lovely person, fantastic host, but she was feeling isolated and on her own and not able to take part in what was going on with her family and their social life. So, and because she was a lovely woman, sometimes the rest of the other members of the family and their friends would come into the kitchen with her to try and have a chat. But the way that the kitchen worked, that meant that they tended to be stood in her way, so she would have to ask them to move while she went into the fridge to get milk, or to get into a cupboard to get the cups and the sugar out. So although it was nice to have them in the space with her chatting, they were in the way, and it was also a little bit frustrating and annoying. So what we did was we redesigned the space, we opened up the space, we added some large pocket doors to make it possible for that kitchen to open into the dining and the living room, so it could all become one much bigger space. And rearranged the layout of the kitchen using all of the designer kitchen items that she'd bought, and made that all fit and work so that she could be in her element in the kitchen, producing all the delicious biscuits and sandwiches and things that she would produce, but she could easily have another member of the family or a friend sat on the other side of the island chatting with her while she did that. They wouldn't be in her way, she could enjoy the company, and they would also be part of the bigger space of the dining room and the living room, so that everybody was all together and could all enjoy each other's company. So that's my first tip. Make your spaces bigger, more open to each other, and in that situation where we introduced large pocket doors, it meant that it was possible to also close down the space as well, so that it didn't have to always be all open, but they could also have times where they would be able to close off the kitchen and the dining room from the living room. So add a little bit more flexibility to be able to do that. So the second tip I've got for you is to, well, this is related, it's quite similar, to create spaces which are easy to entertain in. So I had another client, again, went and delivered a workshop with them, and we looked at the space that they had and how that worked for them, and explored, you know, what wasn't working for them and how we could make it work for how they wanted to live their lives. And they had teenage children, and they also really loved having friends over for sit-down meals and entertaining. The problem for them was that their dining space, you had to pass through the kitchen to get to the dining space. And what tended to happen was that friends and family would tend to congregate in the kitchen area while they were in the middle of finalising all the bits and pieces for the dinner. So it can be a bit frantic when you're just finishing up, ready to plate up, and they would be struggling to bring all their friends and family a little bit further to get them at the dining table, so that they would be out of the way of the kitchen and they could then serve up and all sit down and enjoy a really good meal and a good time together. They also wanted to be able to have space where their kids could go and hang out, and they could also still be able to nip in, make themselves a cup of tea or grab a bottle of wine from the fridge, and not be disturbing their teenage children so much. They didn't necessarily want to, you know, show them up in front of their family, in front of their group of friends, but they also wanted to be able to get themselves a cup of tea or whatever while they went back to the living room and had time separate from their teenage kids. So that is where, you know, sometimes when you're designing spaces, you're not necessarily looking for space where everybody's all together all of the time. You're also looking for different types of spaces, and sometimes to have a happy relationship, you actually need to have a bit of space apart. You don't necessarily all need to be all together all of the time. Sometimes having that separate space gives you that time to be yourself and be on your own, and a lot of people really need that as well. And then they can come back together and feel, you know, that's another way of their relationships getting stronger, is having that good relationship with themselves as well. So in that situation, what we did was we designed an extension and made the kitchen a little bit more discreet, so that you could pop into the kitchen and not necessarily disturb the rest of the space, but also you could go directly into the bigger space, so that any friends, family coming over, they would move directly into the bigger space. The kitchen was a more discreet area off that main open space, where they could carry on cooking and things as friends were arriving, ready for a sit-down meal. And they could also pop into the kitchen space to make a quick cup of tea without disturbing their teenage kids hanging out playing video games in the main space. So that's where we created that space to work better for their particular needs. Give me a like if this is proving useful for you or interesting. If you're keen to improve your relationships through better use and better spaces in your home, put love in the comments below. So a third tip for you is to create space to entertain your friends concurrently with your partner, but perhaps in different ways. So again, I had a client that I worked with last year, and they had quite a small home, and each of them, they were very good friends with another couple, and the guys really love watching football together. And the ladies were not so keen on watching football, and they would much rather go and sit down and have a cake and a cup of tea and a biscuit and have a really good natter. So the guys didn't want the partners to be in the same room as them while they were watching football, because the chatting was annoying for them, and the better halves were not so keen on having to sit there and put up with all the football nonsense, while they wanted to have a really good chat with each other. So the solution there, at the same time, they also liked, as a couple, to have a sit down, really formal dinners with their friends. So they wanted to have a really nice dining space where they could entertain together, and then they wanted to be able to separately split off and then either watch football or whatever guy thing they wanted to do, or sit down somewhere nice with a view and have a chat over a cuppa. So what we did there was we made the kitchen and dining, we did a garage conversion and opened up the kitchen to the garage and made that one really big open plan kitchen diner with also a lovely window seat. So there was a beautiful space to sit and chat, also an island unit so they could sit there. There were several different places where they could sit and have a chat, and then the living room was easily accessed but separate, and acoustically as well as visually. So in that way we managed to make the spaces really work well for them, so they could both entertain together and separately at the same time and really enjoy time together as a couple, but then time together with their best friends as well. So fourth tip. So fourth thing that you can do with your home to improve your relationships with family and friends is to create space for your family and friends to come and visit. And especially if you're looking at family and friends who maybe would come for extended stays, or perhaps even are looking to move in with you for a period of time. So this is what happened. This is what was actually, there's quite a few clients who I've been working with recently for whom this has been a concern and that they've been interested in looking at this. And one in particular, they had beautiful house, plenty of bedroom space, but just one family bathroom. And they wanted to have space for their daughter to come with the new grandchild, and so they wanted to have another family bathroom, and they also wanted to have their own ensuite, and then they also wanted to have another shower room. So this is quite a lot of new bathroom space within, but with no extensions whatsoever, and also beautiful old house. We didn't want to damage the look and feel of any of these beautiful large double bedrooms. So what I figured out for them was that we could make the existing family bathroom into a super luxurious, beautiful ensuite for their master bedroom, and then turn part of a corridor space into a family bathroom where they could bath their grandchild, have the ducks and the toys in there, and then make that a really robust family bathroom for the other bedrooms to have access to, and then redesigned part of the sort of utility room that was downstairs and incorporated a shower room into that, so that they managed to have all of the spaces that they wanted to without extending and without damaging the beauty and integrity of the bigger beautiful rooms that they had. And the final and fifth tip that I've got for you, and this actually is one of the hardest things to do, and is one of the things that is going to really help you truly live a life of ease and comfort and enjoyment in your home, and that is to design out those daily frustrations and niggles and irritations, the ones that happen regularly, potentially on a daily basis, possibly just a weekly basis, but they happen all the time, and every time they happen it's a little bit an annoyance. So last week I went to measure up a property, actually not last week, this week I was measuring up a property for a lovely couple, and they have a few dogs and he loves running, and coming back into the house with lots of mud and dirt, and that's currently in the layout of their home that they have now. That really is causing a lot of frustrations for both of them. He wants to be able to jump in a shower, get clean after his run, and then feel nice and fresh and ready to go on to his next thing. And she, not very so keen on all this sort of muddy, wet running clothes, and the dogs, all their muddy paws all over everything. So she would much rather that was contained. So what we've looked at in the design workshop was a new boot room space where he and the dogs can come straight into, and then directly off that is a lovely functional wet room where everything can be hosed down. He can be hosed down, the dogs can be hosed down, and a washing machine in the boot room. So it's a sort of a utility boot room, and all that muddy kit can go straight into the washing machine, and none of it needs to get any further than that into the rest of the house. And so the rest of the house can be a more peaceful, more harmonious and happier home for them all to live in. So there are lots of examples where you can find little irritations, and every relationship has its ups and downs, but sometimes those little irritations can be designed out, and then you can have a much happier relationship without having to deal with those everyday little bits and pieces that are just annoying, because they just won't be annoying, that won't be there anymore. And personally, I think that a really good design is design where you kind of don't notice it. It's so good, it just makes your life easier and more enjoyable, more relaxing, happier. You don't notice that the design has taken place. So those are my 5 tips for you, my 5 relationship Valentine's special tips. I hope that you find these helpful, and that you can enjoy happier relationships in your home. If you would like to have my help to explore different ways that you could do that for your own home, there's going to be a link available for you to contact me and have a quick chat, and then we can look at how you could potentially work with me for my help on doing that. And I look forward to speaking with you again next Friday. Okay, bye for now.